Greetings. This is GM Grandmaster Amara coming to you from Mombasa, Kenya. And before I get started on today's topic, people are saying I should put this up at the beginning so they can see Africa. But if you could, a lot of people can send money to Super Chat in the US. But if you African Super Chat us, just remember that the money is doubled and it goes to supporting this channel. So today's topic is discussing the differences between Black American women and African women. Well, Amin Ra, who are you? What do you know about women? Again, I think I'm uniquely qualified in this area because I have dated, lived with, had a family, had children with both Black women in America and African women here in Africa. Keep in note that I'm 61 years old, so try not to, when I talk about these things, don't think like, it all happened in a short period of time. Something must be wrong with the brother. Contrary to popular, that's not true. So, having also lived with two women for 5 years in a polygamous relationship for, let's say 5 years? 5 years. One African Kenyan and one Black American. And we all lived together in the same apartment building in the jungle in Los Angeles. We were apartment managers, and we had a family with 3 kids. So I've had relationships with Kenyans, both in the United States and in here in Kenya. More than 2, more than 3. And of course, in America, I've dated many Black American women and had 2 serious relationships. One, I was married, which ended in divorce, and the other one ended in we separated. And it's not about my personal situation, but it's about my experience dealing with both Black women and African women over a long period of time. It wasn't like I was just dating. It wasn't like I was just dating one, and it was like, oh, he must have got his feelings hurt and blah. No, not like that. So when I'm giving you this information, we're just in a discussion. Okay, of course, these are my personal views, but as far as somebody who has experienced living with them extensively, I have lived with both, and today we're going to discuss and compare differences. So right off the bat, let's say African American women, what is the difference between them and African women straight? The first thing, and there are several things that I saw in my dealings with African women compared to Black women, is that a sister can kill you. A sister will kill you. A sister can make you want to kill them. And now I'm talking the extreme, but many brothers know what I mean when I'm saying it can really get to a point where you're arguing, or she does something, or you've done something and she reacted to something you did, and it can go to blows. It can go to, throwing things. Not all Black American women, but a lot of Black American women don't play that, the story, and then they come for you. They can come for your neck. I remember spending the night at my uncle's house, and I had to sleep in the bed next to him, and he rolled over, and his stomach was sticking out, and it had this big scar on his stomach. I had not really noticed it before, so he was asleep, but I was looking at it, and I'm like, damn. So later on, I asked him, how did you get that scar? And he said my auntie stabbed him because she thought he was with another woman. And my father also told me similar stories about him, his dealings with women. And we can get that. I know brothers can testify to a Black American woman being very physical in some cases, and definitely being very vocal in many other cases. So sisters are like that. Some brothers drive them to that, and they can be, it can go to the extreme. Now, I was watching the reports on the mass shootings in the United States, 50 in July, and I was going over them, like what happened in each incident. And there were a lot of incidents where the man killed the woman's parents, and then killed her, then killed himself. And I'm like, what could drive a brother? I assume it was a brother. What could drive a brother to do that? You know what I'm saying? Where you go out and you just hunt your woman and down. There was like reports in Chicago, knew that was Black people. The brother hunted the woman down with her boyfriend, commits to shooting both of them, wounding one and killing the other. So you get these kind of incidents that happen amongst Black people in the United States, and sisters are, they're not the ones who run from it. Now, compared to African women, and most of my information is based on Kenyan women, but in modern Africa is basically the same wherever you go. I've been to many cities, and I've dealt with many African women, and they're basically the same. They're not like that. They're not highly aggressive. They don't curse, and they don't know how to curse. So a lot of motherfuckers and bullshit like that throwing back at you. You don't get that from an African woman, even if she felt like she wanted to be that mad, she would not express herself, in cursing, which is just, you curse when you lack the intelligence to find the right words to say. So you put a lot of Bernie Mac motherfuckers in there, and we know what it means emotionally, but in the vocabulary world, you use that when you run out of words to say. So I was always told cursing means you lack the vocabulary to express yourself correctly. So it really affected me. But anyway, the African woman is trained. Not all African women, but I would say definitely the majority of them are trained and brought up seeing that women respect the man at any case. And from the African parents that I know, coming from the African sisters that I lived with and dealt with and talked to, their parents have educated them on one thing mainly, and that is that you must respect the man, and the man also respects the woman. Okay, so generally, a Black woman in America, the sister, she will be aggressive, and generally, an African sister will not be aggressive. So this is one of the things differences that you can see right off the bat between African American sisters and African sisters. I'm gonna have to say, I was gonna use sisters to represent African American sisters, but they're Black African Kenyan sisters that can be called sisters. But anyway, that's because I'm here. So for you people outside the United States now, it may sound strange. I'm saying African sister, but let me not use that term. I'm just gonna say African woman. Yeah, the African American woman is highly influenced by soap operas and talk shows. In fact, that's a good point of education. There's studies that show Black women watch more television than a university student studies in college. So that's a lot of watching. And you can't tell me that that doesn't affect them. because I have seen it firsthand. If you live with someone and you're with them all every day, and you pretty much know their routine, where they go, what they do, what they say, and they either on the phone or they watching television, then you know where their education is coming from when they have a conversation with you. So if you're watching a lot of soap operas that talk about got to be cheating, got to be man, the plotting, these kind of things, and then you come home and your woman is talking about where were you, or how come when I called you, you didn't answer the phone on the fucking first ring? I'm like, man, come on, that's television. That's television's influence. Now I know there's a difference between today's women. I'm gonna get into that. Dealing with black women in America and social media, I'll talk about that. But for now, the African woman doesn't have as much access to talk shows, and she's not tending to be watching a lot of television in first place. When I was coming up, there was a lot of that. There was Oprah, and all these other soap operas. Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, and a woman was basically able to stay at home during the daytime. She was very susceptible to that, and it had a high influence on her, much more than it does than on an African woman coming up in that day. Now, if I knew then what I know now, then I would have broken our television and pleaded ignorance to why every time they fix it, it keeps breaking again. Because the television was a general part of what happened to the failure of at least one of my relationships. And, it wasn't just mine. We used to have discussions with other friends of brothers of mine and talk about how TV was influencing them, but there was no real who gonna put a study on TV saying soap operas is messing up black women's mind. But today you can find those studies and they're there. But social media now has really put in the points where taking the place of a lot of TV shows. Anyway, African women, like I said, don't watch a lot of TVs. They don't watch much television. She's more susceptible to gossip. An African woman will hang on the words of another African woman far more than what a black woman would do. If an African woman has a girlfriend and the girlfriend told her went out and had sex for the first time, she would relive it with the African sister, and they like both have orgasm together. Like, oh, you see, it really happened like that. Yes. Oh, you see, so seriously, they can talk to each other and be manipulated, and it can go from one extreme to the other depending on who they talk to. Today, social media is in the African woman's life, and from what I see, they're more into the like the WhatsApp, where they look and watch a lot of the things that's going on, and Africans are still not overly expressive like African Americans, but they're getting there slowly. So you'll find like a lot of sisters will read the messages, but they won't reply and get involved into the situation. They'll just read it and then, take it for whatever it's worth. But the majority of them read those messages to gain information because of the lack of direct education and how to deal with men coming from the parents. Now, also, African women don't have access to like Hollywood stars. They're not privy to the latest stars that come out, what they dress and what they wear and where they're going. If I should say Justin Timberlake, but this just popped into my mind. I don't know even is he black or what. He's not black, but is somebody like the new heartthrob, and then they come out and say like that, but they don't. they're not privy to that. They're not privy to Shaq and LeBron James. They don't go through see magazine covers with them on there and dressed in their new suits and stuff. They don't get that, so they don't have access to that, so they don't get involved in that. If you can understand what I'm saying. So an African woman are more focused on two things. What's up, Gregory Wyatt? What's happening here? The African woman is focused on two things mainly. The African woman is focused on getting a husband and money, or both. She knows that when she's old enough, she's got to get a husband for society to really to move around in society and be fully accepted. And if she had a man and they broke up, and she's a little bit got her eyes open now, she's not really looking for a man because she's been out on her own. She's going to start looking for somebody who has money, and this might bring her into a lot of temporary relationships. But this is the main case. Now, some African women, they sharp. They say like it's all about the money because they've been hurt and they don't want to be hurt again. So they desensitize themselves to falling for a man and then get involved, saying it's only about the money. And so therefore, she can even date more than one guy because she's only in it for the money. But African American women, they're more like in trend. They're in the trends. They're guided by trends of the other sisters in clothes and material things. What's going on the entertainment circuit, or her neighborhood, or her following. These kind of things. With the onslaught of Instagram, they're getting a lot of ideas from each other. Putting themselves out there, looking like showing off the best parts of their body. They're more open like that. You will not catch the average African sister. You could catch dead. She can be caught dead on Instagram twerking. You understand what I'm saying? So the African woman is more sensitive towards what the family's going to think, what my neighbors are going to think. You see, not what the latest trend is. So the African sister, she's not guided by trend. But the Black American sister is guided by trend. And the problem with trends are that they can be manipulated and controlled by outside special interest groups. And I don't mean like, special interest groups like you think, but groups that want to guide her in a certain way. Guide the thinking of the woman in a certain way towards maybe buying some material things, or even worse, just guiding her for statistics' sake. See how many Black women can now buy purple if they put out information that purple is the best color. And fortunately, we're like that. The Black African sister has stronger ties to family. Yes, I say that because I have dated both of them. Like I said, I've been in relationships. I've dated, lived with, had children with, been in football, bought house with this, the whole nine yards. Married to this. I've been married to a Kenyan woman. African American woman, and I've been married now to an African woman. So when I talk about these things, I'm not talking about it like it's a guesswork. No, I got more information better than any doctor or psychiatrist or somebody that think they got some information. No, I've been on the ground with them. So when I tell you this, you can be sure I'm not just talking off the top of my head. And definitely, if you know me, I'm not an emotional person to say like, Black women are bad, or African women are like this, running off emotion. No. African women definitely have stronger connection to family and children. It is very difficult for an African woman to walk around outside of a family structure and then feel okay. She needs to be married. That she knows that, and she guides herself towards that. Greetings, Dollar Bill. What's up, man? Yeah, put some more comments in the live chat, and also hit the brother up. I put this at the beginning. when you get a chance. Okay, so to continue with this video about African women, the differences between them and Black American sisters. Okay, now Black women, of course, our sisters, of course, are louder. They're much more temperamental than her African counterpart. The Black woman can say things that they know will hurt her brothers to the core, and they don't have a problem with saying it and overdoing it. Outside of South Africa, I was in South Africa and I was walking down the street, and down this little alleyway, this sister was arguing with this brother, and she was beating him, slapping him while she was yelling at him. And the brother was just taking it, okay, that's one African, two African people. But it says a lot about the dynamics of sisters, African women within Africa. You have some tribes that the women is really dominant, and then you have other tribes where the women are not dominant at all. They're very submissive. So when I talk about African women, there are exceptions to the rule, and a lot of that you can define it based on tribe, and you'll be hitting it on the money 90% of the time. So here in Kenya, you have different tribes, and I have, seen for myself that this one's that tribe, you deal with her, you find she's like that. This one is that tribe, you deal with her, you see she's like that. In some way down the line, they can give you their best foot forward when you first meet them and talk with them, but after you've known them for a while, those traits almost always come out. So, by rule, the African woman, she knows her place. She knows how far she can go with her man on the physical level, as far as arguments and disagreements. Now, the well properly trained African woman, trained by her family nicely, she won't even raise her voice to her man. You see, so this is this I have seen and witnessed and discussed with other brothers. No. So, African American women, okay, they can be very loud, and they can be very, very vicious. And when we come talking about, verbal abuse is just as rough as physical abuse, then this is the case. So with African American, they don't know that. They use it as a weapon. I mean, they can use it as a weapon, and so often do when they feel the situation deserves it. Now, as a 61-year-old man, I can say that to any woman, any Black woman, they should always be a lady. They should always maintain the position of a lady whenever they argue, whenever they do. You see, this is the way I talk to my daughters. They must always maintain the status of a lady. Never put yourself down to the level of ghetto, or reduce yourself to somebody that doesn't have any common sense. Okay, so in the area of sex, the African woman, of course, is not exposed to as much sex and as much porn as Black women in America. Black woman in America shows more skin and is more daring by far than the African woman. Like I said earlier, the African woman, she's very conscious about what family thinks, and there's just certain things she just would cringe at doing. Like there are some cultures, especially there's some African women, especially those that are like deep into religion, Christianity or Islam. They're not going to show even their legs, so except for her husband. So any woman that goes out in African society dressed in short miniskirts, they're going to be deemed like a prostitute. And so respectable dresses all through modern Africa, although they can look sexy as hell, if they really, when they want to, they do watch out as far as exposing their skin and then exposing themselves to other men. Now, African American women, they don't have a problem, uh, uh, you know, as far as they're more free as far as how they dress and where, what they. In America, a lot of us, we don't see, you don't see that much of them, uh, caring about respecting themselves as far as the way they dress. Now, there are exceptions to the rules, I know, but I'm just saying the difference between the general African woman and the general Black American woman. So there, you get that from Black women where they will dress sexy and wear less clothes and go out to parties and things like that, and they feel nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? And with the so many fashion trends that are out there that they are exposed to, this is possible. But if it's African women, they have like a very conservative dress compared to African American women. You will find that in Africa, and especially after she's married, you'll find that she's going to, cool down as far as even married. The African woman also is not exposed to as much about sex. Today's African parents, as well as the last generation, they don't really discuss sex highly with their daughters, and this is a shame. They leave this up to the school system, and the school system doesn't put a lot of emphasis on that either, because many of the teachers are women and they do follow their certain trends. So when they tend to talk to the girls, they tend to talk to them in a way like, watch out for boys, don't get pregnant, this and that. Now, I'm here and I'm seeing it firsthand. I'm seeing many of these young girls turn into ladies, or even before my eyes, in the school system, and they have very little information about children are created. The connection between having sex and having a baby. Some of them really think like the two are almost separate from each other. So on my side here at the school, we do have sex education is inside science in the science. So we do show videos of how babies are born, what the act is that causes it to happen, and I can give a video presentation of talking about the areas in sex, and I look out at the classroom, and the women are just like shocked. They don't even talk. So I know that they're not getting a lot of this information at home, and they don't discuss much of it amongst themselves outside of a small circle of friends. The African American women, I'm sure she's exposed to almost all that stuff. Teenage pregnancy is a big problem in the United States. Teenage, even sex trafficking, is all over the news. And so they're also exposed to those type of things. And there's a recent disappearance of like many of these Black women. That generates conversation about what happens out there with women at young age. You're living in American society. We know that pedophilia is there in European society. It's now bringing itself over into American society. And young African American women are being talked to about watch out for strangers, this, that, and the other. And that is the case on that. Okay, African women are not privy to information about properly how to have sex properly. You see, and most of the women that I dealt with, and African women that I've dealt with, when it comes down to having sex, they're like mediocre at best. And it would be for me to train them or show them, and they were like, they didn't know. And don't say hey, they were just lying to you. I mean, no, they didn't know, because you can tell those certain things if you with somebody from over a time. Now, I'm not the one. I never was a Mac Daddy person, contrary to some people's belief. I was an athlete. I was always in great shape. I'm somehow not bad looking. Some will say even handsome. And getting women was not an issue for me. If you look at all the things that I've done in my life, you can't see the time where I would have time to go drive around macking with women, and it's not in my nature. I've always been basically a one woman guy, and that is just the case. But over time, I have had the opportunity to be in different relationships with women, and I'm not saying I never fooled around on my woman. I'm human, and I'm not gonna say that, but I ain't. You can't like I'm in that kind of person. No, I'm in this conservative. Come 7 o'clock, I'm at home waiting for dinner. So 99% of the time. So the other 1% of the time, maybe out with buddies and friends, and maybe a woman occasionally once every 2 years or so, like that. But I ain't the one for that, and I've never been the one for that. So please, the women that are listening to this, don't look at me like that guy was, a womanizer. I get that term, and you get that term. Black women in America, they follow those trends, and they have these words like, he's a womanizer, he's a deadbeat dad, he's no good, these kind of terms. And I grew up with them, and I always put an effort not to be one of those. And I know there's a lot of brothers in the United States fighting so that they can say, I pay my child support, I spend time with my kids, because they're getting a lot of information in America that black men don't do that. So when they it kind of guides them and say, I'm not going to be the deadbeat dad, or I'm not going to be the absent dad. I'm going to be there. But if you don't have your children within you, living with you, and you guide them, then you just like Santa Claus. They see you coming, oh, daddy, what you bring me? You know what I'm saying? That ain't raising a kid. That ain't instilling your values into this kid, where the kid sees only your values. You see, here in Africa, I have children. My values are what is instilled in them. The mom might complain here and there, but at the end of the day, my values are the ones they take. And so this is an important point when you come talking about raising kids in America. And a lot of brothers are out there trying to show that they're there for their kid, because every Saturday they pick them up and take them somewhere and without fail. But at the end of the day, the 6 days, the child's with the other parent. That's whose values they're gonna pick up. So when they get old enough, and you say, let's go out to the Lakers game, bro, son, and then he's like, Dad, no, I want to go hang out with my buddies. And then you're like, damn, you've been fooled, because you realize that all of this effort you done put in to make the child like that, and then the child becomes an adult, and then he don't have no time for you. You see what I'm saying? Whether you spend the time with him or not. You see? And then when you get to the point where he starts having family issues of his own, he don't want to talk to you about it. You see what I'm saying? It's embarrassed because you didn't give him no information, and he don't want to look bad in front of you. Now he might come to you and say, Dad, what happened with you and this person and that person? But he'll be trying to compete with what you did, or try to do better than what you did. You see what I'm saying? So this is rampant in relationships, and the black women in America, they fall inside these niches where even some women can have more than one kid by different fathers. And it's a strange. I've never had that happen to me yet, but that is a strange thing, and very difficult for brothers to do that. Now, the African woman isn't as it's not if she has children with one man. Normally, the family, she sticks with that man. So you see, you don't have like different children from different daddies here and there. Now, also in Africa, they don't really have like child support or Section 8, or not Section 8, but welfare. I forgot whatever we should call them. Those kind of services that will give them money, and the man can run away and they hunt him down. They have it here in Kenya, but they're for extreme cases. Most of the time, when these agencies call for the man to come in and discuss the dealings, they work it out. The man will come and work it out. In America, they don't even call you. You just get somehow you go to job and then you ready to reach for your paycheck and then the guy like half your shit is gone, but you got to go to to social services to see where your money went, and you like shocked. You know, you thinking it's too. You thinking your exes done did you in, and you've been seeing your kid regularly. You go to her, why you do that? And she tell you, it wasn't me. And then you be like, damn, who, you go find out it's somebody, a woman you just saw 1 or 2 times, or even somebody you didn't even really do nothing with. And then you're in court fighting that shit for over a year. This is America for you. And that kind of thing can put a strain on any man and make him feel like, women are no good or they want to separate themselves from African American women. Now, you don't have that so much in African women. African women don't think in those lines. If you separate from her, then she's more apt to say, let me just do it on my own. You see? And she'll be a single parent and she'll just tell everybody that it didn't work out, what the man was bad, this and that. Then, she'll strive to find somebody else that might take her. But today's modern African women, they're like that. They're not seeking to go take a man to court. They really like when they're done with them, they're done with them. You know what I'm saying? And then of course, you'll have family support that will also support her in raising the kid. And of course, the African man will not really have that kind of access to the kid, like, come see him here and there. And because there's so many women in Africa, the man can now turn around and go with somebody else, and then his time is occupied with that other new African woman to the point where he really don't even see his kids and don't have no time to really think about them. Okay? Please don't look at me like that's me. I'm telling the generalization. This is not a personal regurgitation of what happened to me. That didn't happen to me. So let me write this up. Today's African women are seeing more sex and porn, but they don't know what to do with it because society is still strictly African, which is strictly conservative, even in modern Africa, even in urban areas. So they can watch porn on TV, but they ain't gonna be able to connect it with like, let's go out and try it at the party, or let's go do, no. A lot of clubs here in Mombasa are never like overflowing with people at night. They're really like struggling for business because men and women generally prefer to be together at home with their family than be out at the club dancing, looking for funny women. So that is the case nowadays in Africa. Now in America, I'm not there. I don't know really the club. I can't give you the one-on-one with the club life. Maybe somebody can tell me about it. Are the clubs being full nowadays, or are they like half full? After all these mass shootings, I think clubs are probably, people gonna be like hesitant. But because of so many issues with black women today, going to clubs is about the only way you can really like socialize with the opposite sex somehow. And that would probably bring a lot of black women out in the streets. And if also African women are more into religion, and the churches usually generally find women that are single and get them somehow. If there's a man available, which is rare, they get them through church. And there are a lot of predator black male gigolos in African churches. You'd be surprised. And they just prey on the women, and then nobody really filed a police report on that, but that's what goes on. So a lot of times churches are avenues of where women can, maybe need a man for a temporary basis, but not for a full basis. Now, I don't know, this quiz is saying that clubs still packed, even though there's shootings every month. Yeah, well, I would expect that coming in America because, social media is there, and physical contact has to be, the nature have to bring us together. So through social media, they can interact and then say, meet me at the club. And, you know, uh, that would bring life into clubs. But in Kenya, clubs are not packed, especially during the week. They're basically empty. On Saturday and Sunday is the big day. Many clubs go out of business. A lot of clubs are just the focus is on dancing and drinking, and not much else. So these are areas where Africans are different, and that includes African women compared to black women in the United States. Now, the last part is about family. How is a black woman in family compared to an African woman in family and raising their children? Uh, um, we can tell by there's so many single parent homes and so many homes that are being run by black women in the U.S. that the focal point for the black family being together is not the primary concern for black women. The problem when you have a black family separated, when a woman is separated, she is, or he, I won't go and say one or the other, he or she is interested in self as opposed to what's best for my kids. Because obviously, what's best for any child, if the child could grow up and have a adult voice for like 5 minutes, he would tell you, I want a mother and a father in my life. You see? So, unfortunately, they can't say that, so they just have to control the mercy of whatever the two adults decide. And we already know, study after study shows that these having to come from a single family home can, in some cases, in many cases, affect the way the child's raising. Me personally, my opinion is there's no way anyone can convince me that having one parent is in any way better than having both parents. You know what I'm saying? There ain't nothing Superwoman can do that Superwoman and Superman can do together to make it better, create a better product out of a child. So in that case, America's black family unit is I think they have different values, and their values are misguided because a strong black family creates a strong black community, which creates a strong black economy. You can't have one without the other. And if last time anybody really checked and looked, you can see that the black community is gone, and the black family is definitely being tampered with by a court system and the justice system. So in Africa, you don't have that interaction. The courts and justice do not interfere with family matters. She's got to really go to the courts. I mean, not even the courts don't even handle those things. They got agencies that handle women that have been left by their man and have children. And those agencies will take care of those women and will put out letters to the man to come in and find out what had really happened like that. But in America, the system is designed like once the woman says, I don't have money, then the courts jump into action and go trace down the man, and all kind of horrible things happen. And this is doesn't really, and when the courts get involved, it's really not a matter of get the family back together. That is not the priority in the U.S. And that is a terrible thing. It has led the demise of many of our black families. And courts should not get involved in family matters. That's my personal view. It's not, all this. These are lies saying that a black man ain't going to be interested in raising his children. You know what I'm saying? Saying, how did he get like that? Is he was born being that way, that he got to be running around with different women? No. I grew up, I was a boy. I became a man, and I had a lot of friends that were men, and I seen them grow up. And at the end of the day, we all got tied down to one chick. And then depending on what happened with that chick, that made us go one direction or the other. But you can count the ones that are like thinking they gigolo and go hang out with different women every day. In fact, I can't remember none of my friends like that. Or even trying to be like Mac Daddy, pimp fly, run around with all kind of different women. They get labeled and then they get nothing at the end of the day. So I think that's just a media blitz where they come and say, you know, men are womanizers and things like that. I have been told I was a womanizer, and I'll be like, where are the women? You know, where are these women I've been womanizing? You know, where are they? You know, to this day. So, you know, this is just a stigma that we put on brothers, and it needs to stop. Now, to end this video, I wanted to say, yeah, what's my final opinion on black women versus African women? I mean, which one do you prefer? Okay, well, I've been in a relationship now with an African woman for 10 years. I'm extremely happy at the moment, knock on wood, because anything can happen. You know, because I've been in so many relationships with black women and African women, knowing that my woman is just an individual, she just happens to be African, I see like this one is best for me as far as wanting to have a family. Now, I always wanted to have a family. I always wanted to raise a family, have my kids, and raise them. I tried in America and it failed. And then I came to Africa and tried, and that failed. It failed twice. And then finally, I lived alone for 4 months, looked at my life, and then the next day when I came out of hibernation, the woman of my dreams appeared, and it's been like that. So, like I said, we're in 10 years together and 3 kids. My children from previous relationships, even one of them is living with us now. My woman has no problem with that, and you know, I'm on talking terms with all my children but one. And Zakia's out there, my firstborn child. But they keep telling me that she's just like that with everybody, Daddy. She's not like, you know, just it's not just you. And you know, I'm proud of the fact that even my children in the U.S. are planning a trip here to come to Kenya next year, 2020. And that's something I'm really looking forward to happening, because you have over time an opportunity to, you know, redeem yourself. I came to Kenya in the hopes that I would be able to find a place where I could bring my family from the U.S. and we could live in a better place, minus the racism. And that didn't happen. And so I ended up having to try to structure a family in Kenya, and it took me a couple of tries before I really got it right. Otherwise, for me, you know, my life has just been work and train in martial arts and then in computers. So this is a video on the differences between black women and African women. If you have some comments, you want to put them in there. You know, you haters, I'm sure you can. Got a few. I know you can send them in. But if you're watching this later and you're not watching in the live chat, go ahead and do this. You know, and send us something so that we can know you're really serious about this information. Okay. You know, just take time. If you get the Western Union app, you can, you know, it'll just be very easy. Even other times when you want to drop in $2 or $3, and that money also goes to me continuing to give out videos like this. If you have a video you want to talk about in the chat room, we can put that there. Now, speaking of shootings, what is the thing you miss about Black American women? What do I miss about Black American? Okay, funny thing is the things I miss are the things that they're notorious for, like, you know, cussing me out, you know. Okay, not the fighting. I had a woman, my wife. One time we had a big argument, and then I was like, "I'm leaving. I'm gonna leave the house before we gets to be throwing blows and shit like that." Somebody called the police on us another time before, and so I'm getting in the car and driving backwards, reversing out the driveway, and she runs out the house and grabs the antenna on my car. So when I'm driving back, it's like she's gonna break the antenna on my car, so it forced me to stop. And she just wanted to argue. and I didn't want to argue. I was like, God damn, you can't even get away. You know what I'm saying? I run down the streets, There's another time, she just sprawled out on the front lawn and just started screaming and crying, and I'm like, what is the problem? Why are you doing this? And everybody's coming out looking at me like, what did you do to her? And I'm like, I ain't touched her, So there's not much I missed there, really, because, I have seen it all, basically, I can say, because I've been in a relationship deep into the relationship with them, and, we don't have some sort of foundation that we would let guide us. So a Black American woman can just come out of nowhere with some kind of new funny idea because she don't have no base. You know what I'm saying? Her base could be Donahue. You know what I'm saying? Her base could be, Helen on TV. She can watch an episode of Helen, and then be like, that changed her whole direction in life. So where the African American woman is rooted in the structure and tradition and the tribal deals, that understanding that they have. So I miss nothing on that. So you made me forget what I was going to say in the last part. But anyway, we can do another video on my personal experiences with women. Otherwise, ask me that in the chat line, and I'd be glad to answer it. I mean, in the comment section. Now, remember to like and subscribe to the video, to the channel. I keep forgetting to say that. We get 4 or 5 people that look at us. Let me see. Oh, you want to talk, huh? I came in late. Did you talk about Kenyan African women and finances? Are they more focused? American women spend a lot more money. The African women, that's a good point. That's a good point. And for sure, I can talk about that. Unfortunately, the African woman, like the African men, are not really taught a lot about finances. Like my African woman owns her own business. Okay, and I see a lot of ways where she can make a lot more money, but she's not privy to that information. And then she doesn't really like it when I give her advice on business. So she won't, she'll listen, and then she won't implement what I say until like a month or 2 later, you see. That's on my personal side. But African women it's very rare to see them like running a major business in Kenya. Okay, now they might have like a fruit business that all of a sudden got a lot of orders, or they might have like a dress thing where they got some big special dresses from somewhere cheap, and then she's selling them at a good price, like that. But as far as in the corporate world, the government is basically where those jobs are located, and you find a lot of women that are there. You find a lot of women working in, utility services and things like that. There are a lot of women policemen and traffic officers. There are many. But as far as finances are concerned, like I said earlier, the African woman is more conservative in the way she dressed, and she doesn't really deal in like have a lot of shoes and things like that on average. And once she's married, she's pretty much got a basic wardrobe, basic things that she's not really like always going out trying to buy new clothes, and the latest perfumes and the latest, things like that. They're just not like that. You can find like an African woman, she can just be content with 2 congas, and she just roll her hair up in a ball, and she there breastfeeding your child, fixing your food, washing your clothes, and very happy. You see what I'm saying? So this is not something that should be looked down upon. Most African families, the man does control the finances. But there are African families where the man comes home and just gives the woman the check, and she takes care of everything, even the money he gets. He can have like a little money for drinking. She can control that, and the African man finds that really good, so he has less arguments, and he might have some discipline problems with himself. Maybe a lot of them would be drinking, so he finds it better to just let the woman take care of that, so he don't have free money in his hands to do diabolical things with. In my relationship, we split finances. She has her bills that she pays for, and I have my bills that I pay for. And I help her out with her bills when she has some issues, and she never helps me. Oh my, I mean, rent is on you, you know, child school fees is on you, So I was like, okay. But anyway, as an older man dealing with women in finances in America, I find that I just don't get upset over it. It's only money. You know what I'm saying? If I run out of money, I'm not the kind of person that says, let me see where I can be, where I can reduce my spending. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm the type of person that's like, okay, I'm running out of money. I need money for this. I will go out and find where I can make more money to cover that. So this is where I run my life, basically. Uh, Maybe that's why I got like 7, 8. Now I got like 8 streams of income, and it's keeping me really busy. Money coming in different ways, and then, but anyway, that's just me on that, on the issue of money. But African women don't spend more than Black American women. Black American women are exposed to credit cards, whereas that average African woman is not. And because in Kenya they have M-Pesa, they're giving out loans to M-Pesa. She'll try that, and then but then after that, once she sees that shit is not real, an African woman is done. Whereas African American women, you just get a lot more advertisement about what you can buy with money, and that's on your mind every day. So you get a little money, boom, psychologically you're seeing all these things that you wanted on TV and whatever, you go for it. And America is like that. You broke, you dead, you got no credit, you got bad credit, no problem, we give you a credit card. So, then you find yourself in debt, and basically a lot of women just feel like they can do anything. They can sit down and they think, how can I get that no good nigga to give me more money? You see what I'm saying? Or I need a man that got some cash, and I'm ready to do anything for that. And then there you go. So I'm going to cut this video now. Thanks for the comments in the section, and I hope this information is useful for you. If you're a black man, young black man, and you want to come to Africa, get your woman in Africa. Don't go get no Black American woman and bring her to Africa if you got that choice, because she gonna get culture shock just like you, and then not only she gonna have problems with competing. If she's got a problem with competing with other women, she gonna have double the problem, because she's gonna be an African, and where there are much more women available than in America, and they are mostly all beautiful. I mean, I always get amazed at the beauty of some of these women, and then you talk to them, and then they don't have no man. They just go to church on Sunday. They waiting for God to bring him. I'm like, God damn, you got a body like that? My God, And she said, what's wrong with my body? And then she don't have no clue what that body, So, yeah, don't do that. That's my personal advice to you young brothers. If you got a girlfriend in the United States and you talking about coming to Africa, and you know how, you know better than to don't bring her here. You see what I'm saying? Unless you really tight with her. You know what I mean? If she the love of your life, it's okay. But if you like, you already broke up 2 times already. No, break up again. Okay, tell her you need to find yourself, come over to Africa, and then you see, like, because this is tragic. It would be tragic for you to bring like a half girlfriend to Kenya, talk about this is my woman, and then get exposed to the women here, and then really get involved with one of them on the side, and then you find like, oh man, what am I do? And you got Susie over here done changed her, gave up her life in the U.S. for you. That'd be very bad. So come single if you have any kind of space in your relationship issues. Come single. And I'm not saying don't break. You don't have to go like come to Africa, break up with your girlfriend. Go like, I'm going to Africa for like a month. I'll be back. And she like, okay. And then you go, you do your thing here, see for yourself. Then you decide at that moment is at home better than what I have here, what I'm seeing here, or is it the other way around? And some of you gonna switch and say Black American. I cannot date any other woman than a Black American woman. It's okay. You know, if some men are just like that, you know what I'm saying? But if if uh, you still you haven't made a final decision, definitely if you have had African American girlfriend and somehow you broke up with her, and then you just kind of like out there trying to fix your relationship, stop. Don't fix your relationship. Get your $1,000 and your plane ticket and come spend a month in Africa. You ain't gotta have a lot of money to stay. It's a very cheap place you can stay for like $50 a day or $20 a day. You know what I'm saying? If you really work it and you just come out here and meet women and talk to them and see where their mind is at. I'm guarantee you'll be very surprised if you don't end up staying like I did. I came here and ended up staying 21 years. So I got here and immediately I was here. My woman who was pregnant now went back home, moved to her parents, left me in Kenya by myself. And the next thing you know, I got a woman, got a house, she got a car, she's driving me around. Next thing you know, she's walking with me like Diamond is my man. And I'm like, woo, where'd that come from? And so I said, I learned how to hold back, because you can't just be talking to them and they be like, you already my husband. You know what I'm saying? They tell you, let's go talk to my dad and my family. Oh, be careful. That ain't like just go shake hands. So I hope this has been educational to you. Definitely, yes, so many beautiful women in Africa. There's beautiful women in America, Black women in America too, but then there are also a lot of women that are overweight, got health issues, and most importantly, some of them have psychological issues generated from being miseducated on TV, and they can't help themselves. And for them, for the African American women, if you're single and you had problems with your man in America and you need a change of life, you can find a good African man here that will take you and and just be your man for sure, because they're taught that way, to be family orientated. Now I have a Black African American sister friend of mine. She's got a Kenyan guy she met at the hotel where she was staying, and the guy was working at the hotel. And I was thinking like, that guy probably every woman that comes to the hotel, every tourist that comes home, he probably dating them, But now it's been like 9 years, and I'm like, I'm happy that they're still loving and together. You see what I'm saying? So getting a good African man is not that much of a problem. End it now. Let us have a part 2 if you want in the comment section. Until the next time, peace.